Now at 11 on Time Warner Cable News on ABC 45, at least 15 people were arrested during the final Moral Monday protest of this legislative session. We'll look at the impact of the movement to see if it's making a difference. Problems continue for the Department of Veterans Affairs. Find out what a new report is saying about the VA. And residents of the Forest Oaks community met tonight to talk about recent break-ins in the area. Hear how the neighborhood plans to stay safe.
You're watching Time Warner Cable News on ABC 45.
And thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Sharon Stone. Those stories coming right up, but first, Monty Montello is here with the first check of your weather on the One's forecast. And Monty, it just felt more tolerable today.
Because it certainly was out there. We didn't have near the warmth or heat that we had late last week. We actually improved quite a bit yesterday and today, following the same note here with highs that were seasonable in the lower side of the 80s. We haven't cooled off a lot here this evening. We're still in the 70s in most locations, 75 in Greensboro, 79 in Winston-Salem. But for this time of year, we're actually running a little bit below normal. Now, live Doppler looking great. Haven't had any rain or storms across the region here this evening. Don't think we'll see any tonight, but storms creep back tomorrow. Temperatures will be inching back up. So Sharon, well, if you didn't enjoy this nice little break, we got more heat and humidity for you. We'll tell you about it in about 10 minutes. Back to you.
All right, we'll see you then. Thank you, Monty. 15 people were arrested during tonight's Moral Monday protest at the General Assembly in downtown Raleigh. This week's Moral Monday marked 60 weeks for this movement. Looking back at this milestone, has it actually made a difference? Diana Bosch joins us from Halifax Mall, where Moral Monday kicked off earlier today. Governor Pat McCrory says state government will still operate even if the General Assembly does not have a budget agreement in place by July 1st. The governor issued budget directives to state departments this afternoon. It holds in place funding from last year, including funding for teacher assistants and Medicaid services. McCrory says he is still optimistic that teachers and state employees will get a pay raise in the new budget deal.
Unfortunately, teacher pay raises would not occur, but I'm confident we will. I'm still very confident we'll come to a resolutions, and with an amendment, but with an amended budget, pay raises for both teachers and state employees will be enacted as promised, and that's what we want.
Legislative leaders named members to a conference committee last week to negotiate amendments to the state spending plan. The fiscal year ends on June 30th. The second year of the state budget cycle begins July 1st. A new report claims veterans have been neglected at VA hospitals around the country for years. The Office of Special Counsel is an independent government agency that protects whistleblowers, sent this scathing report to White House officials today, detailing examples of what they're calling mistreatment. According to this report, in one case, a veteran with a service-connected psychiatric condition was in the facility for 8 years before he received a comprehensive psychiatric evaluation. In another case, a veteran only had one psychiatric note in his medical chart in 7 years as an inpatient. This follows earlier reports of secret wait lists and veterans dying while waiting for care at VA hospitals across the country. Meanwhile, Senator Kay Hagan wants to fix the problems surrounding the nation's veterans hospitals. Today, she met with senior hospital staff to talk about the issues they face and how she can help. A recent audit exposed the wait times veterans face when seeking care. Fayetteville was among the worst in the country. One center official says it is important to keep an open conversation.
Conversations about fixing problems is a good thing because in the long run, that's all what we're interested in. We're interested in providing quality care to veterans.
Hagan declined media interviews following this event. She says she plans to meet with Acting Secretary Gibson in Washington, D.C. to talk about how they can work together to better serve veterans. A medical examiner has identified the body found over the weekend at Blues Lake as one of the two fishermen who went missing back in April. Authorities say that 27-year-old Jacob Lyne's death was due to drowning. The Stokes County Emergency Services Office led a massive multi-agency search effort after another boater found the men's abandoned boat and gear. Last month, the body of 44-year-old James Bowen Steele turned up. A Guilford County Sheriff's deputy shot and killed a man during a domestic disturbance call yesterday afternoon at a Greensboro home on Cynthia Road. Deputies say that when they got there, 45-year-old Ray Jr. Barber barricaded himself in his backyard with a gun. Officials started negotiations with Barber over the phone. When his phone died, deputies tried to pass him a new one. That is when Barber aimed his weapon at them. And officials say they warned him to put it down before a deputy shot him. Barber later died at the hospital.
It is never a good day when we have to take someone's life. Our job is to save lives, not take them.
The two deputies involved were Sergeant Burns and Corporal Stevens. The SBI is investigating this shooting. The Guilford County Sheriff's Office met with residents in the Forest Oaks neighborhood tonight to talk about ways to keep their homes safe. Investigators say the neighborhood recently had 3 homes broken into. Our Brittany Edney joins us live from our Triad newsroom. So Brittany, what's the latest in this case? The Greensboro Police Department contracts with Burlington-based LabCorp to analyze DNA samples from the scenes of property crimes. Department investigators will take samples in connection with burglaries, auto thefts, and larcenies. LabCorp will build a database and look for matches between crime scene samples and samples submitted voluntarily by known offenders.
DNA is being used more and more in law enforcement, and we think it's a powerful tool that we can use to identify criminals quickly and to apprehend them quickly so that they can't be committing more crimes.
Cheek hopes other departments, including Winston-Salem and High Point, will contract for testing. He says a regional database would increase the chances of nabbing thieves. And coming up next here at 11 o'clock.
Well, a nice break from the storms.
ABC 45.
Monty, I was focused on the break from the heat, but you made a really good point. Nice to have a break from the storms as well.
Yeah, the last couple of days really haven't been terribly hot here, Sharon. That's the good news, but we'll be back into that 90-degree range all the way through the upcoming weekend. Back to you.
That is good news. Thank you, Monty. And stay with us. Your sports is up next tonight. 2 memorable tournaments at Pinehurst have come to a close. Ryan Welch tells us how the course held up. Ryan Welch here now with Look at Sports. I know you have had a busy couple of weeks, sir.
That's right. Back-to-back U.S. Open championships. Temperatures in the high 90s, yes. So it was grueling out there indeed, but unforgettable too as well. Well, one of the most memorable stretches in U.S. golfing history is in the books, and what a way to wrap it up Sunday at Pinehurst number 2, Michelle Wie. The story of the weekend as she sought her first major title, and she hit the big shots when she needed to, dropping this eagle on 10 to get to 3 under par. Then, after a tough double bogey on 16, the birdie of her life right there on 17. She put the finishing touches with a par on 18, and Michelle Wie can bask in the glow of her first U.S. Open title.
I think winning on the same golf course that Payne Stewart won means so much to me as well, and there's just so much history to this golf course, and just the fact that I can be part of that history is just so cool, and I feel so honored to be part of that history.
That she is. A major concern heading into the 2-week stretch. Just how would the golf course hold up under the grueling conditions of back-to-back championships? Of course, this was the first time the men and women competed on the same course in consecutive weeks, but the thinking was if any place could deal with that kind of stress, Pinehurst number 2 would be it.
Well, I first thought it was wow. If you'd let me write a script about how I would dream it to go, that's how it went. Just an absolutely wonderful 2 weeks, great golf. I think we achieved every objective we could have possibly set out to enumerate. We presented the golf course, I think, both weeks in almost perfect fashion.
To the ice with the Carolina Hurricanes continue to fill out their coaching staff. On Monday, the team announced that former Edmonton Oiler Steve Smith will join Bill Peters on the bench. Smith had been an assistant with the Oilers the past 4 seasons. Talking a little soccer now, where the World Cup continues to dominate the conversation across the globe. But local fans can catch a glimpse of some major talent when the LA Galaxy come to Cary to face the Carolina Railhawks Tuesday. Carolina riding an incredible 22-match home unbeaten streak, heading into that tussle with the Galaxy, who will not be short-handed. Expected to play Team USA snub Landon Donovan, and that has gotten everyone's attention.
Before anything else, I'm just such a fan of the game in this country. I'm a big fan of MLS. I'm a big fan of our national team, and obviously he's been a massive part of that for a really long time. So, excited to play against him again, and admire him for all he's done for the game in this country.
As for the World Cup itself, Team USA fans still seething over what took place Sunday night when Portugal scored the tying goal in the closing seconds of a 2-2 draw. Now, despite that tie, Team USA still in pretty good shape to advance to the knockout stage as they gear up for Thursday's game with Germany.
You're disappointed not to get 3 points, but at the same time, you have to take the positives from the game. We played better than what we did in the first game. I thought we moved the ball better, created some good chances, showed a lot of character, especially conceding the first goal and fighting our way back into the game and then even going ahead with the go-ahead goal. But yeah, disappointed not for 3 points, but still we're happy with 4 points and there's everything to play for in the last game.
And a couple of scores to report. The Greensboro Grasshoppers rolling to a 14-2 win over Lakewood, and Winston-Salem falling at Lynchburg 6-5 in 10 innings.
Thank you, Ryan. And your live lotto's next. Now here's tonight's Carolina Minute. The Orange County District Attorney says he may drop a felony fraud charge against a former UNC professor in the center of an academic fraud scandal. Jim Woodall says Dr. Julius Nyong'oro's cooperation with the new probe led by a former prosecutor has been truthful and fruitful. If Woodall dismisses the charge, that could eliminate the possibility of a trial that would put school officials on the stand to explain no-show athletes. A massive gas leak prompts road closures and evacuations in Garner tonight. This happened at a PSNC regulator station off of Guy Road near US 70. Officials say a safety mechanism malfunctioned and sent gas into the air. No one, though, was hurt. A New Hanover County grand jury indicted a Wilmington police officer on charges related to the use of excessive force. A local newspaper reports the case is in connection with the arrest of 16-year-old Terrell Rivers on April 4th. He faced several drug charges and trespassing and resisting arrest. The officer involved, Corporal James Johnson, was suspended May 14th. Well, summer is here. If your daughter is looking for some fun activities, Girl Scouts Carolina's Peaks to Piedmont just may be the answer. It offers day camps in 3 locations. They're open to everyone, not just Girl Scouts. Elise Michelanis tells us more. The current program runs through the 27th, but girls can sign up for a few other weeks in July, ending in August. Not quite used to his new surroundings, 9-month-old Mako made his debut at the Greensboro Science Center this morning as an accredited Association of Zoos and Aquariums institution, and as part of the Species Survival Plans program, the Science Center brought in the male fishing cat to hopefully mate with their female one, Tallulah. But like with house cats, it may take some time before these felines warm up to each other.
So they've been able to see each other through what we call a howdy door. So it's a door with a whole bunch of holes in it, and they can smell each other. We're going to give them a couple of days to get used to the exhibit and then slowly start our introductions with the two and hope all goes well and that we get kittens out of it.
Zoo officials hope they'll be able to be on exhibit together by the weekend. Before you head to bed, let's get a last check of your forecast now with Monty Montello.
I don't know, that waterfall is looking pretty romantic to me, Sharon. Temperatures tomorrow 85, so we get another fairly warm day out there. I think we're going to start to see more storms by later in the day, and then Wednesday is going to be an active day. I think we could see some stronger weather, so more stormy, a little bit hotter, but not until the end of the week. That's when we'll start to see 90s back in the forecast. Back to you.
Thank you, Monty. And finally here tonight, Loaves and Fishes is celebrating a milestone as it opened its 20th food pantry in Charlotte. The pantry at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church closed a year ago when the church shut down, while a new congregation opened in the same building. Centro Cristiano Dios de Pactos Church will assist in running a food pantry there. The group's executive director says it's especially meaningful to return to the site and be able to help residents in the area. Harris Teeter donated enough food to stock the new food pantry 4 times over. That is our time for the evening. Thank you for joining us. Jimmy Kimmel Live is next, and Time Warner Cable News is available around the clock and on your schedule. Have a great night.